Did you have to sort your eyelashes out?
My eyelashes stick to each other. They always have. I don't know why, but they stick, and I have to sort of pull them to separate them like that, like I'm doing a fucking magic trick.
All right, we are live, and everyone knows about your eyelashes now. It's hilarious. So, I have a question for you. What's the difference between a piano, a tuna, and a pot of glue?
What?
You can tuna piano, but you can't piano a tuna.
But but I don't understand what's the relevance of the glue.
And you would get stuck on that.
Okay, very good. Yeah. Excellent.
Thanks for playing my game.
Not at all, not at all. I'm happy to walk into traps.
Yeah,
As long as
excellent.
inside the traps there's just soft cushions and chocolates and teddy bears and not razor
There's
sharp
fucking
spikes and
chocolate.
burning fire.
So, do you have one for me?
Yeah. What did the empathetic gynecologist say?
I have no idea.
He said, "I can really see where you're coming from."
Oh, Jesus. Right. So, I don't know what to say. It's week 8, and we're done with the bad jokes. Do we have a new weigh-in for you at all?
No,
No.
no,
Okay.
I haven't been weighing myself. I've
No,
fallen out
that's
of
fine.
that habit, which is not
Okay.
good. I'm gonna
Stop asking
start.
you about it.
No, no, no. I'm gonna start doing it again soon. Probably on Thursday. In fact, I know for a fact that on Thursday I'm gonna make my first video and upload it onto YouTube.
For a fact.
For a fact. Yeah.
I'm writing it down here.
Hmm.
On Thursday,
Yeah.
for a fact, you know you're gonna make the video.
That's right. I am. I didn't
Excellent.
want to. I didn't want to before. Um, I
No
wanted
shit.
to say that I wanted to, but I didn't really want to. But now I do. I've been
Okay.
trying over the last week. I've been trying to get in touch with that desire and that courage, and
Oh
I really.
yes.
Mm, um,
So, on that
yeah.
note, you had some homework to keep feeling your emotions every day, even on your days off, and see how far you got with that. And then also, when you were at the market, I don't know, but you were supposed to try to connect to a specific thought. I don't know what thought you actually chose, but have you done that?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, tell us
Yeah.
about it. How has it gone?
It was certainly hard because both the markets I did on the weekend were pretty abysmal for various reasons. I went to the seaside resort in the south coast of England called Lyme Regis, or as some local Chinese people call it, Rhyme Regis. But it's sort of a holiday destination for pissed up uh, Cockneys and folk from Essex and Kent and so on. So I had lots of sort of drunk people going like, charcuterie, what's that? Is that like chorizo? So I had lots of sort of drunken Anglo-Saxon plebs um, kind of bothering me coming up to my stall. Not at all the clientele I normally serve. So it was a little bit more stressful than usual. Had some unsavory characters. And then on Sunday, did a market and it was just totally dead. It hadn't been properly publicized by the organizer. So on both days, I was frustrated and bored, and so it was quite a test. But I made it. I bought.
What
Um,
was the thought?
oh, what was the thought?
Oh,
I can vaguely remember it was like. Uh, well, it was just like I want this, even though this is uncomfortable. I
yeah.
want to be, I want to be a carnivore, and I want to be healthy. I don't want to die. I've cut down on the coffee as well. In the last week, I've gone from 2 coffees to 1 because I noticed that if I had more than one, I started to get quite foggy in my brain. I don't know what was causing it, but I was getting quite sort of fuzzy upstairs, and it was really bad for my reflux. So yeah, got the coffee down, got my sugar consumption down, and I wanted to bring something up with you, because I'm going to be taking a different direction, because I know that at no point have you recommended that I eat a specific diet or remove, like, all sugar. I know that this is all about managing cravings. So this is not me saying that I'm rejecting or pushing back any of the advice or the coaching you've given me. It's just at the back of my mind since we began 2 months ago, something has been bothering me and pestering me, and it pertains to what Bart has spoken about on a few rare occasions, which is that when you transition into carnivore, there can actually be some quite severe consequences down the line if you don't gradually reduce carbohydrates and fiber. So the total removal of starch and fiber, down the line, even as far down the line as 8 or 9 months, can cause some pretty adverse effects in the gut in terms of what various bacteria do, having a temper tantrum essentially.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, and again, I remember Bart saying that, broadly speaking, he recommends that people have a set amount of starch and fiber and then reduce it weekly for 6 weeks until it's eventually all gone. And that assuming I haven't misquoted him or misunderstood him, that is what I intend to do. So when I make the video on Thursday, I want to present myself and the plan and the whole project, and what I'm going to be doing and why. But I'm going to present in the video the reality that that there are consequences for just cutting out all plant foods immediately, and that what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be having 1 meal a day of meat, rice, and milk, and I'm going to and it's going to be a set amount, and that set amount is going to be recalculated weekly until eventually it's all gone, because I don't want, I trust what Bart says. I put my faith in him and in the weight of his advice and consultation and so on. So I would rather do it the right way than do it the wrong way and then I have to start all over again in 9 months' time, or potentially have some problems in my gut. So I just wanted to make you aware. I know that that I know that there might be a new challenge born out of that, of trying to manage cravings around.
It's the same work that you have to do.
Mm.
It might get harder, maybe, or it might get easier. Everyone's different. So I'm not bothered whatever way you are going to do your diet, because the work that you have to do is the same.
Mm-hmm.
You're still going to have to manage the cravings the same way.
Yeah.
What I would like to suggest, though, is if you get massive cravings from just eating once a day, maybe you should consider eating twice a day, and maybe do one of those meals just carnivore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that might help with the cravings. If it's like, I don't know how many grams of carbs you're going to start with, but whenever you eat carbs, obviously you're going to have an insulin release, and there's going to be, some ups and downs in your blood sugar, and that can obviously trigger cravings, but also I find that if I'm eating anywhere, try to think, maybe if I'm around the 50 g of carbs mark, I'm getting a lot hungrier in general.
Yeah.
Like that is kind of my hunger threshold, roughly around there. So if I eat more than that, especially if I eat it in one meal, I know that I'm going to be really hungry later on, and 24 hours is going to feel like a very long time.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I agree. I suppose the emphasis shouldn't be on doing OMAD, but having a set amount of carbs. So I'm just going to make it easy on myself. I've thought about this, and so I don't have to faff around with cooking and measuring. I'm just going to buy like packets of pre-cooked rice, because then I know exactly what the weight is, and I can just get raw milk from my farm, and again, so everything can be weighed exactly. So yeah, I'm going to do what Bart suggests in a transitional protocol, 6 weeks, reducing it by a percentage every week until eventually it's gone. And
Okay, so you are going to be 0 carb in 6 weeks' time.
that's the plan.
I got that here. It's week 7 now, is it?
Week 8.
This is week 8. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll still have plenty of time after that and see where you go with that. Cool. I'm glad to hear that you have like a plan that you can focus on, because that is going to be easier for you to focus on than just doing carnivore, I think.
Well, and again, just it goes back to wanting to be a good example. If I am going to put my videos out there and essentially recommend to complete strangers who may or may not have heard of this diet that they should do it, if I don't go through a sensible, responsible transition out of starches and fiber, then I'm essentially inviting members of the public to have a potentially unpleasant and consequential experience of this diet, and then that just adds to the number of people who anecdotally represent the opposition to it, because as Bart talks about, there are multiple ways to fail the diet. I was quite surprised recently, blown away in fact, at the various critiques of Paul Saladino he's done, because during which he mentions he mentions the folly of consuming organs. And to my knowledge, Bart has been the first carnivore YouTuber to denounce organs and to attribute them to electrolyte imbalance and then subsequent failure. I'd never heard that before. I would love the opportunity to talk to him about that and maybe do another video with him, because I've been writing down all of these questions. I've been saving up so many inquisitive
I shall
questions.
let him know. Just for your information, there is a guy, and I don't know his name because I don't remember such things, who says that liver is not very good for humans to eat, and Bart is trying to get him on his channel for an interview to ask all these questions so that he can refer back to that video. I don't know if he's been successful in that endeavor or not, but it's on the agenda. Anyhow, I want to go back to you and what you've been doing this week. So we were talking about the market and what you were thinking when you were there, and that just like, I want this and I like that. But what about when you're feeling your cravings on your off days? How was that?
It was easier because I had the proviso written in that I could eat carbohydrates at some point in the day, as long as I tried. I did a lot of waiting on the days off, and I realized now that was a mistake. I thought that just waiting until the evening to eat sugar was the same as withstanding cravings, but it wasn't. It was yeah. It's just
No. Well,
a
you knew
an
that.
error. No, but well, yeah, well, it is an error, but it's one that can creep in quite easily.
Yeah, your brain's gonna tell you that, well, you're not eating it, so it's all good, and we don't feel that uncomfortable. So
I
I'm
have to
glad
ask,
that you noticed it.
yeah. Um, there were a few moments in the last week on my days off whereby by the time the evening came, I was in like a carbohydrate coma, lying in bed. Um, I was and I got quite high on cannabis, and when I do a lot of cannabis, uh, the floodgates of self critique open, but not in a harsh, cruel way. Just lots of quite devastating truth bombs hit me all at once, and I was just overwhelmed with this feeling that I was poisoning myself, and I could hear this voice, the deepest voice of the subconscious, sort of like it just. I kept on hearing the word just like please, please, over and over again, please, like stop doing this to me, stop doing this to me. Um, that was very disturbing, very painful. Um, so I started hearing parts of myself trying to communicate to my conscious mind, you know, like stop hurting me, stop hurting us. So I have had a lot of introspective moments in the last week. A lot of a lot of like deep emotional kind of stuff coming up. But it's all been very good for me because it's a coin, I suppose. The other side of which is my the one side is pain, and the other side is my desire to take care of myself and to grow and to be compassionate to myself.
Yep.
I can honestly say, without bullshitting, the biggest change of the last week has been I've managed to just get a little flame going out of nothing, and that
Yep.
flame is like self love. You know, like take care of the flat, wash more, try to have more positive interactions with people, be kinder to people, be kinder to yourself, be more respectful to people, be more respectful to yourself, and just I've just cultivated a little tiny flame in the last week. It's been very painful because it has involved looking at myself, looking at parts of myself which are hurtful and ugly and negative.
But I want to jump up and down now, like, yes, he's getting it. I'm so excited. Like when you have that little flame, no matter how small it is, you just like grab onto it and then you can just make it grow. And I can hear that you're actively doing that, which is awesome. I'm so happy for you. Big smile.
This is just it's just a new concept. It's a totally alien idea and state of being. Like taking care of myself is simply something I have never done. I have never done it, and yeah, it's the sort of the forest for the trees. You know, it's been staring me in the face the whole time. It's been so obvious. Um, but yeah, that's the most important thing that's happened in the last week. There have been multiple occasions where I've lied down. I've been lying down on my bed, feeling sorry for myself, essentially, feeling down, and I have just sort of snapped out of it and sort of shaken my head and got out of the bed and just uh, had words with myself, as it were, to the effect of like, come on, yes, you feel bad, but that's because you're waiting for something to happen, and it won't. Only you can do something positive to relieve the suffering. Like, only you can do something to just make yourself feel a little better. And it's just been little simple things like just doing the washing up, or doing the laundry, or just, I don't know, sending replying to someone's text message out of consideration, realizing, oh, that person messaged me a few days ago, and I've been a shit friend. I haven't responded. Like, respond to them, like, give them some attention, give them some love. Like, so there have been little things. So yeah, I guess I'm starting to get it. Like,
Yeah, and you're starting to do the things, even if you don't necessarily feel it at all times, you're starting to do things that you want the future Alex to be doing. And when you start doing the things, you're going to start feeling them eventually. It's like there's no way you can do them and not feel them. But in the beginning, sometimes you just have to do it. And then the feeling will come afterwards. Like when your brain is on board with what the heck you're doing. Because it's not going to want to in the beginning. It's like, why the fuck did we do this? Completely unnecessary. Let's go back to bed.
yeah. Yes, that has to. I think that is an incredibly important reminder that has to be like a mantra every single day, which is like something to the effect of, act first and feel good after. Don't wait to feel good before you act. That has been the wrong way around for me for my whole life. I wait to feel good, and then I say, oh, I feel good now, so now I have the mood or the disposition or the energy. I'm adequately upbeat to see people or do something or apply myself to something, but it's totally the wrong way around. And so yeah, I'm just gonna keep going down that avenue, just keep pushing myself more and more in the coming weeks and months.
I'm so glad. Finally, we're getting fixing the eyelashes again. Finally, we're getting through to your brain.
This is your brain.
It's not my brain. I'm just directing your brain, or trying to.
Well,
and it's like, fuck off, Pim. Don't want to hear.
Honestly, a lot of the stuff that you say to me comes through again when I'm high. Cannabis really is quite a profound drug. It's a fantastic tool for introspection.
Not for me.
No.
I become a goldfish. It's just like I think something, and then I'm like thinking it again. I was like, oh shit, I just thought that, and then I think it again. I was like, for fuck's sake, stop it! It doesn't work for me. It's horrible.
Okay. Yeah. So cancer. So cannabis sort of Freudian slip there. Cannabis sort of fragments your streams of consciousness.
For sure.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's very annoying. It's not fun at all.
No, and really. I bet it's a nightmare for you to socialize on cannabis as well for that very reason. Like you can't.
I'll go sleep, but then I can't sleep because then I'm thinking about it, and then I'm thinking about it again, and I'm like, why can't I sleep? Why can't I sleep?
Interesting. I find sleep so wonderful and deep and alluring when I'm high. I slip into the most wonderful of sleeps. Interesting.
Yeah.
It keeps you awake.
I'm glad for you. Anywho, so you've been feeling your emotions as in your cravings on your off days. How many off days did you have?
4.
And how many of those did you eat carbs on?
All of them.
And always in the evening?
Yeah.
How many of those days did you just kind of do the waiting thing rather than feeling it?
3, because I only remember one day off doing it.
Okay. Right. So
And
we're
I
not
think
doing that next week.
no, I think it's because I've been trying to figure out what's one of the main reasons why I can't just sit with myself. And honestly, I think it's because my flat is such a mess. I think the distraction of everything that needs to be done in the flat is making me uncomfortable, and it's pulling my attention away from that meditative process of just sitting with one's breath and with one's feelings. I suppose a pretentious dickhead would say my feng shui is out of alignment. So um, I'm going to sort out the feng shui. I'm going to like over the next week, the flat is going to be my a huge project. You know, like preoccupation. I'm gonna just blitz it. I'm gonna do everything that needs to be done over the next week, or certainly a lot. You know, I want to make it look spick and span, clean, orderly. Um,
Yeah. So can you feel the feelings that you're gonna have when it's clean and orderly?
yeah, yeah, because as I've said to you before, the habit I've developed is to run away. I
Yeah.
get overwhelmed with this feeling like there's a mountain of domestic chores to complete. So I find an excuse and then I just leave the flat and go and invent some leisurely engagements for myself, which invariably end up taking me to somewhere where everything revolves around consumption. Um, uh, so yeah, I think it all starts with the flat. It starts with my room, my bathroom, my living room, my kitchen. It's I've got to take care of my domicile.
I have a few thoughts. So one of them is that the uncomfortable feelings that you feel when you just think about cleaning up, you just treat them the same way as you treat the cravings. Like you just feel them. So you don't necessarily have to sit with the cravings because you will get the same. Uh, I mean, you're doing the same exercise, so you will get the same experience by just allowing those emotions instead, the anxiety and the panic that you're feeling. Obviously, you can choose. You can go back to the craving if you have a craving as well, which might actually feel better and not as bad. But you could also tell yourself, like, whenever I feel that way and I don't want to clean up, I'm not allowed to leave the flat. I can sit here and I can feel uncomfortable, or I can just go and clean it. But I'm not allowed to leave. Because then it's like, well, what's worst? Feeling those emotions or actually do the cleaning? So you still have an escape route, which is cleaning up the flat. Or you just have to feel those emotions, which is what you're trying to avoid.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could do both.
Yeah, you can. But you can give yourself the choice. Like, I really don't want to feel that right now. Okay, well, just go and clean.
Yeah.
Put on some music, distract yourself, and do the cleaning. You don't
Hmm.
have to think about how uncomfortable it is. Because then you get that job done. And that's ultimately what you want. So I never recommend this with cravings unless it's kind of an emergency situation. But distracting yourself is not useful long term. That's why I don't recommend it. So you don't want to get into the habit of distracting yourself every time you have a craving. So please don't apply this to the cravings. But when it comes to this, it's fine because your flat is not going to be a mess all the time. And it's not really a problem that you are escaping it because if you get the job done, who cares in this moment? and you're still going to learn how to feel your emotions. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, as a set of like subsidiary thoughts, they are highly valuable, useful, insightful, but the principal thought is still the most important, and that is that through observation over the last week, I've identified clearly what is going on, and that is that I know that the homework, it has to occur at the immediate moment that a craving occurs,
Yeah.
and that is either in my bedroom or it's in the kitchen, and sometimes it's not even a craving per se. It's just my neural pathways coming into action. Like every single morning on my day off, not on one of my work days, but on my days off, I open my eyes and I immediately, the first thought I have is, where am I going to go today to eat carbohydrates? Like, which carbohydrates am I going to choose today? I'll go to this bakery, that cafe, this restaurant, that street food place. Immediately, that's so. I've got to like sit up, sit my back against the wall and close my eyes and just feel those feelings, let those thoughts just play themselves out, and get a fucking grip, so that I can feel like, no, I'm in charge of what happens today, not you. That's and But that process is undone by how much of a shit house, to use one of your favorite words, my flat is. So yeah, you know I've got to like identify the enemies and take them on. But but also it's everything about it is positive. It's win win win.
Yeah.
It'll make me feel better. It'll give me that feng shui that I need to have a good, to have that good meditation. Because I'm starting to see now it is like a meditation.
In a way, it's just like you're directing your mind rather than, excuse me, rather than just letting go of all your thoughts. So you're kind of redirecting it, and you're doing it on purpose. Which, if you like, is a form of meditation.
Yes, it's a form of meditation.
Or mind control of yourself, obviously. Not other people. We can't do that. I wish I could. That would be fun.
It's certainly possible in Colombia.
Okay, let's not go there. So, I love that you're doing that in the morning. I mean, that was part of your homework, but you haven't been very good at doing your homework. So I love that you've been doing it. And what I want to add to that is that, I mean, right now you have a pattern of you waking up and thinking, oh, where I'm going to go and kind of pig out, because you've been doing that for so long. That's just another neural pathway you need to change. So if you wake up now every morning and you're like, okay, I'm going to think something different, I'm going to feel this, and then you could redirect that thought to, what am I going to do today to move closer to being the person that I want to be? Or you could just decide the day before. So you wake up, you already know what you're going to do. Like, hell yes, today I'm going to go out and rollerblade.
Yes, the old list before one goes to bed routine.
It doesn't even have to be a list. Just like, okay, I'm off tomorrow. What am I going to do?
Oh no,
I have
a list.
one priority.
I know that lists work for me. I know they work.
Do a list then.
Yeah.
Whatever works for you. But whenever we don't know, like whenever there's any uncertainty, you're going to get into a conversation with your lower brain. because then you're gonna have to start competing with it. Like, right, we're off. Let's go have some coffee and cupcakes and do this and that. And you're like, no, I don't have time for that. I have all of these things planned for today.
Yes.
I think that's brilliant. So you're doing well. How do you think it's gonna go now when you are planning to have one meal per day? But please, please, please have two if you get a lot of cravings from doing
I'm not.
that.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that's slipped it. That found its way in there, but it didn't need to. And again, I'm starting to see. It was an added detail, which is it just puts more pressure. It just makes it more uncomfortable, which is silly. So yeah, forget that. It's just it will be that eventually, but it's going to be a set amount of rice, a set amount of milk every day, and miscellaneous amount of meat. I'm not going to.
So how much milk are you going to eat? Drink, I mean.
A liter.
A liter. Okay.
A liter. Yeah, it would be
That's
2 liters.
Pre-packaged. It's gonna be easy for you to just drink that and not have like half a bottle. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a liter. They're liter bottles which I get from this farm.
How are you gonna cut down?
Well, by simply weighing out the amount of liquid. So like a liter to 850 to 650, or some chosen percentage in.
How are you gonna deal with having half-open bottles or half-drank bottles? Drunk bottles.
Yes, the participle is drunk. Drank is simple past.
I'm Swedish. Shut up.
You see, that was like a German. That was like a German, but nice, which is what a Swede is.
Exactly. So how are you gonna deal with that?
How am I going to deal with it? I mean, the same way I'm going to deal with the fact that there's a news agent 20 meters from my door with unlimited cans of Coca-Cola. I mean,
it's just that it's within arm's reach in your fridge.
Well, I defer to your wisdom, Coach. What do you think I should do?
I want to know what you're planning on doing. Have you thought that far? How are you going to deal with it?
Obviously not.
So think about it now. I mean, I always have opinions, but I want to hear what you would do. So you're like, yeah, I'm going to cut down now, and I haven't thought it through. So what's happening?
Well, I think I know what to do. No, I know exactly what to do. I've got 12 milk bottles. I'll take 7 to the farm, and I'll put a liter in 7 bottles, and then I'll put like 900 in 7 bottles, and then 800 in 7 bottles, and so on and so forth until the end.
I love the creativity. That's super sweet.
So creative.
Yes.
Yeah. So so it's everything in the bottle that's consumed.
Yes. I love it. And what about the rice? Because you said I'm going to get pre-packaged rice. So how is that going to work when you cut it down? It's going to be harder.
That'd be easy, because you can't just go into the fridge and have rice out of a plastic packet. It'll taste like shit, and it'll be cooked as part of a meal. So that I don't think the rice is going to be calling to me, but it'll be I suppose the milk will be the
But don't you have to cook the whole packet at once?
no, it's pre-cooked. I just drop it into a wok
Right.
full of lard. Like earlier,
Okay.
my dinner, I had belly pork, and then I just fried the rice with the belly pork, and then just added some Asian condiments to it, like sriracha and fish sauce and all that good shit.
Right. Sweet. Right. So now you know what to do. You're going to be able to handle the cutting down. You have a set amount of carbs that you're having every day. I would recommend that you do not drink milk between the meals, that you stick to the meals
Yeah,
with the milk.
yes, I will. That's exactly what I'll do. I'll have water until I have the meal, and then I'll have milk with the meal, and then go back to water, and that's it.
Okay. Sweet. Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
So now you have eliminated the problem of having half-drunk bottles, which is great. But if you find yourself in a situation where you do have a half-drunk bottle, you just do whatever you do anyway. Sit with the craving and you allow it.
Yeah.
There's no difference. And down the line, I don't know, how confident are you that you can sit with the cravings?
I mean, more confident than I was last week and the week before, and so on. I mean,
How quickly are you going to cut down on the milk? Do you have a plan for all of that?
it's going
Or
to
have you?
be. It's going to be. I mean, yeah, it's going to be. I mean, again, Bart said 6 weeks, so.
But
6
is it
weeks.
going to be linear? So after 3 weeks, you're going to be down to half a liter?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. So in 3 weeks' time, I want you to fill up the whole bottles so that you have half-drunk bottles and just practice the cravings that you're going to get from that. That's an excellent opportunity.
Yeah.
To just practice. But
Yeah.
it might be a little bit early to do that now before you have complete control. But what's going to happen this next week is obviously now you are not doing Coke, you're not doing those kind of carbs, you're going to do the rice and the milk. So you might have cravings for them, or just like you might still have cravings for Coke or whatever. But I want you to continue doing what you've been doing. Just allow those cravings and allow them, not just whatever, wait.
Mm-hmm.
And then you eat your rice and milk. And I don't know what's going to happen after that. You might have more cravings. Is it Coke that you've been doing this whole week, or are there other carbs?
A few. I mean, a few. I haven't been too bad over the last week. I think I allowed milk back in the last week, and that's helped as an alternative.
Right.
That's given me some satisfaction.
Good. Okay. So it might be like when you're done with your meal, maybe you're going to crave Coke. And then you just practice again. So I want you to get as many cravings in as possible this week that you can just sit with. And if you can, please write down how many of them you have successfully sat with. Like just like 1, 2, 3. Just tick them off, because I want to know roughly how many you've gone through.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. We didn't quite finish we did finish the 7 levels deep exercise for, you wanting to be this new person and live in integrity with who you feel like you are. But you did mention this other part as well, which was more of your health concerns. I don't think it's necessary to go into that because I think the other part is kind of much more powerful. But I want to hear what you think. Do you want to dig into that one as well?
Of course.
Of course you do. Okay. So let's continue with that one then, because we got kind of to the second level before I just split them and I took one at a time. So the question was why you want to stop eating sugar, and you said because of your health concerns and that you want to thrive. And then I asked why that was important to you. And you said, I want to survive and grow up, take responsibility. I know, I don't even think you actually properly answered that one. So why is it important to you to be healthy? Let's start there.
Because choosing to be healthy is a guarantee that I will avoid the many forms of immense suffering that will come down the line as a consequence of not taking care of myself. And, when I had an infection deep in my gums and I had a level of pain which I'd never experienced before in my head. It's like I could feel this pain inside my brain and it was unbearable. I needed antibiotics, but in this wonderful country, you have to see a dentist to get a prescription for antibiotics for a dental for a gum infection, and it was like a Sunday night, and so I had to go all through the night from Sunday to Monday with nothing but painkillers, which were inefficacious, and I resorted to drinking booze to numb the pain. I just knocked myself out by drinking spirits, and then drank so much that they interacted with all of the opiates I had taken, and then I was projectile vomiting and felt like I was dying of blood poisoning. Now,
okay, so
we don't
need the whole story.
I'm sorry, but the point is that suffering I caused. So it's important for me to be healthy so that I don't end up in a situation where I'm suffering and I realize I could have done something about it. I want to do something about it now preemptively. That is logic. It is logical to be healthy. I don't want to be illogical. I don't want to. I make room for the irrational, but yeah.
So it's important to choose to be healthy to guarantee that you will avoid many forms of immense suffering that will come down the line, and it's logical to be healthy, which is a thought that you're having, by the way.
Yeah, it's once you have incontrovertible knowledge in your mind, acting in contravention of that it's the ultimate betrayal of the self. It's I have to be healthy now because it's the only way to be true. I suppose it sounds perhaps overly poetic and wishy-washy, but with all the knowledge that I now have, continuing to be unhealthy nutritionally, it's a lie. It's living a lie.
Okay, so it's important to you because you want to be healthy and you want to guarantee that you don't have that, and that is important to you because that is the only way to be true. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying? Yeah.
yeah.
So you answered the other question without me actually asking it, and that's fine. So why is it important for you to be true to yourself, I suppose?
Well,
Well,
I suppose we're entering, very, very philosophical territory here now. Uh, so I'm gonna have to brush shoulders with the pretentious. Uh, because man, to be true is to be alive. If you're false, you're not even here, are you? You're you're compromised. It's like being false to yourself. It's like pretending to agree with someone else's opinion. It's like you're becoming distorted and shifting as an entity. You lose definition. You lose authenticity. And and that is that's the midpoint between existence and oblivion. Like living a lie, conducting yourself insincerely is a form of cowardice, and it's in essence it is a fear of living. So it's important for me to be true because it's important for me to be alive, because I define living as such.
why is it important to be alive?
Because that's where all the fun happens.
Is it? Is that
Yeah,
true?
yeah.
Being alive means that you have to feel all those emotions. Is that fun?
Well, I said fun, but the truth is that was an edited version of the first thing that came into my head. Initially, I was going to say that's where everything happens. Like in the end, you only regret what you don't do, and um, like by doing this diet, like going through this process, I know that on the other end, the life I've been waiting for will be there waiting for me.
So it's important for you to be or feel alive. How do we answer that with what you just said?
How do we reconcile the two answers?
No, if I ask you why is it important for you to be alive,
Yeah.
how do we put that into an answer? Because you have more described like what it is to be alive.
The answer I gave is a figurative answer to a question which I interpreted as figurative, because you don't mean it literally. You don't mean why is it important to be alive as opposed to not existing, as opposed to being dead. So I took it figuratively. So I answered it figuratively as alive, meaning, aware, awake, lucid,
But why
conscious.
is that important to you?
Well, because existence is based on that which we see and hear and feel and think and touch, and all of our senses and faculties for experiencing this can suffer from varying degrees of distortion. And addiction blurs vision, distorts sound, corrupts thoughts, toxifies emotions, and just one is essentially riddled with this opaque, blurry, hampered, wretched, miserable perception of existence. So, you know, it's important to be alive. For me, that's like saying, you know, it's like saying, why is it important to listen to Dark Side of the Moon without your hands on your ears? It's just, you know, sugar is like hands on my ears whilst I'm trying to listen to good music. It is a wall between me and living. Why living is inherently important. I mean, that's a question for, you know, Alain de Botton, not some fucking pleb who sells salami. I mean, why is it important to be alive? I can only answer that subjectively, figuratively, but at the deepest sense, I don't know.
Could I almost put words in your mouth here? Because what I hear is literally it's important for you to be alive because otherwise you would miss out on life as you define it.
If I get to the end of my life and I know that I have been stuck in this addictive cycle from beginning to end, I won't be able to take stock of everything that I've done and said and everything that's happened. I will not be able to take stock of it and say that I lived, but that I had the unique experience of living like an addict. I know that it's nothing more than self-deception. It's it's very black and white. When you are an addict, you are fucking dead. I have been dead for the last 20 years. Or perhaps less dramatic, I have been a slave. And if a person was a slave their entire life from birth to death, they would feel exactly the same way. I'm a slave and sugar is my master. So there are many ways to live. There are many ways to be alive. Again, it's important for me to live as a free man, not as a slave. And you know, my very soul is tormented by this addiction, by this slavery to this substance. It has made itself the most important priority in my life every day for the last 25 years. More important than family, more important than friends, more important than career, money, cultivating of desire for, you know, all of the beautiful things in life, from relationships to family to, you know, like it's totally taken over. It has replaced my agency. And for me, that, you know, I have been as good as dead over the last 25 years. I haven't been myself. I've been a shadow of what I could have been. And my past is just, there's there's a book by a Canadian author called Anne Michaels called Fugitive Pieces, and this Jewish kid, his whole family are murdered by the Nazis. Later, when he's an adult, he thinks about everything that would have happened if the Nazis hadn't have murdered his parents and sister and so on, and he thinks about all the things that they would have done together, that all of the types of people they would have become, and he calls that the shadow past. And Anne Michaels says the shadow past is made up of everything that never happened. And I remember when I read that, it struck a chord with me, and I realized that I haven't had a past. I have had a shadow past. I've had, like, the last 20, 25 years is just, it's just a gap where everything I was supposed to be, everything I was supposed to have done never happened because of this fucking horrible, monstrous affliction. And I define life as everything which is the opposite of that, everything which is free of that. So that's why it's important to live, because I'm in a cage, and it's awful. It's absolutely awful. It's like,
Yeah, I wrote it down. I want to live as a free man. And for someone who's not addicted to food, you won't understand. Like, it is literally, as Alex described it, it feels like you're locked into a cage and you can't get out. And I think that's a thing that is really hard to sell onto people if they don't understand it. But I understand exactly what you're saying. And once you get through that, you're just going to feel like you're out of that cage. And I don't know if you can imagine what that would feel like right now, or if that's more like a longing for that, to actually finally experience it. But that's probably where we get to with why you want to be healthy. And it's all kind of coming down to an emotional reason. Like, I feel like I'm locked up. So even when we went down this path, so we went down the other path, which was more of the living in integrity with yourself, but they kind of almost meeting. Like, you want to be the person that you were meant to be, and that is not a person that is in a cage. Like, you just want to live into that person that is in your DNA, that you are meant to be. It's all coming down to the same thing. That's why I said I don't think it's necessary to go down and have a look at this, but you can see how you kind of arrive at almost the same place. It's because that is what is actually mattering to you. And if I may, there were some comments here that I would like to address. There's been a lot of discussion in the background. So there is some criticism about going back to eating carbs and how that might trigger more cravings, etc. And that's why we said that, yeah, maybe it will, and maybe it won't. If Alex has a gut microbiome, for example, that is breaking down, living off of the carbs, and you remove all the carbs immediately, that might just completely hijack his brain and make this a lot harder than it has to be. So it might go the other way, that it's actually easier for him to go through this. Quitting sugar is not the same as quitting all the carbs. No one needs to quit all the carbs completely. I work mostly with keto or low carb people simply because that's what I'm eating. So I guess those people are the people that are going to find me and are going to connect with my message and what I'm doing. And it feels like maybe I'm the right person for them because that's the way that I'm eating. But you could be on a high carb diet. You could be on a standard American diet and just quit the sugar and still use these tools to get through. I think that it might be a little bit harder to do. But, if that's the diet that you want to be on, fine. I see no, I mean, I'm really, really proud of you, Alex. I think you've taken like some giant leaps forward. I have heard no excuses. I have heard a lot of contemplation and thinking. There's a lot of thought behind why you want to go back and add in some carbs. I don't think that's an excuse at all. I have heard or seen a lot of you actually doing the homework, you implementing what we were talking about. You've been not been perfect with, allowing the cravings on your off days, but there has still been a lot of thinking, and I'm not saying justifications, but there have been a lot of reasoning with yourself and thinking through things, why you want to do certain things. So you're not just doing things because it sounds good. You actually thought it through, which I'm really pleased about. And when you were at the market, like, gold, I want this. I want to be a carnivore. I don't, this is what I want, and that's why I'm going to do it. So I think that when you are watching this, if you don't see the huge momentum and the giant leaps that Alex has taken this week, you need to rewatch this and just actually think about what has happened. Compare what he has been doing and what has been going on in his brain this week compared to previous weeks. For a while, he was just like disconnected. I can't deal with it. Everything has gone back to, well, this is why I am like I am. I have heard nothing about that. There hasn't been a single reference today about what happened in your future or how you grew up or anything like that. And I'm so happy about it because that's like, there's probably more progress than even Alex realizes. So I just wanted to
Yeah,
say that.
yeah, and to whoever wrote the message, sorry, the comment,
Yeah.
go and watch Bart's. Go and watch a video where Bart is talking to a few ladies. I can't remember, and he mentions some of the consequences of the total removal of carbohydrates. That 8 or 9 months down the line, some really nasty things can happen with the gut microbiome, and which can be catastrophic, which can actually make you worse off than the state you were when you began. I would rather not go through that. I have a tendency to be all or nothing. And actually, I can promise all of you watching that developing the ability to control my intake, measuring everything and controlling it, that's not what I want to do at all.
No.
So it's going to take discipline. It's going to be, and it's going to be very good for me to learn to make incremental changes rather than just being trapped in the cycle of all or nothing, which it has not served me for 25 years. And like, believe me, there's going to be very, very little addictive pleasure or satisfaction opening shit industrially made white rice out of a plastic packet every day. I'm doing it because it's easy and I can control it, and it will give me starch and fiber. But really, what I want to do is go to some artisanal bakery and stuff my face with pain au chocolat and croissant and cannelle and pastel de nata and all of these wonderful buttery paste. So believe me, this is not a convenient excuse to let carbs in. It's going to be drab and repetitive, which is exactly why I selected it as such, because there'll be no variety, there'll be no faffing, no cooking. It's just, I'm going to literally buy like, I don't know, 50 packets of this rice, and it's just one a day, open, eat, next, open, eat, next. It's going to be drab, and there's going to be very little pleasure involved, but it's exactly what I need. So that's what I have to say about that. I don't want to happen to me what Bart mentioned. So Bart is God as far as I'm concerned. So if God says gradually reduce your carbohydrates and starch, or there'll be consequences, then
Maybe you want to be his girlfriend.
uh
He would like you
I
better.
he's yeah
You're like, oh God.
I definitely want to give him like a very affectionate cuddle sometimes, if Bart ever wants to have like a man cuddle, something, you let him know that I'm always available. But so yeah, I want to do it right. I don't want to do a Paul Saladino and then eat 200 grams of fucking honey a day, and stare into the camera with a level of zealous, hypnotic psychosis that the most ardent follower of Scientology would have while smoking crack. That, like, his videos are just ridiculous. So yeah, I don't want to fuck up. I want to do this right.
Yeah, and you can only do what you think is right. You won't even know until you tried it whether that was the right approach or not. I think, considering what you tried last year and what you tried now, going cold turkey is not the best way for you to go. But if I ever mentioned that in the past, you would be like, no, I need to do that.
Yeah, I know that.
So I'm
I
not going to
know.
argue with that. If
No,
that's where
yeah,
your belief is that I need to do that, but now you realize that maybe that wasn't actually the best thing, and you had that nagging thought. So we're trying this now. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But cravings wise, I'm good either way because we are going to do the same work anyway. You're the one who's going to bear the consequences if it doesn't work because you're going to have more cravings or whatever, and that's fine. We'll deal with that along the way. It doesn't matter. I don't care what your diet is. I mean, I have an opinion about what the best diet might be, but we're dealing with the cravings here. So that's that. And on that note, I think we're about to finish. So thank you very much for being here, all of you. Thank you for your comments. Yeah, I hope I see you next week. And I'm looking forward to see Alex take more giant strides forward. So this is getting exciting, in my opinion. So thank you very much. Bye.